Okay, here I have changed something in the model, so that's why I was asking the make migration. We'll do the make migration first. This is some other implementation. This is we have not come to this part actually forums. So this is some for existing project. I am just we are creating the views, right? So that's why this is a different. It's not required. No? This is the base URL. So we have created the test loop. So when I executed this test complete URL, so I am getting the response as a Harsha. So it means that so it is loading our URL and view method is it is calling the view method. Okay, now we'll debug and we'll see. So I will just put the breakpoint here and I will reload this URL. So the execution is stopped here. So it gone to urls.py first. The request will route from this first from the URL pattern. So whatever the URL we load, so that depend upon that URL, so the view method will load. So in the view method, it will give the HTTP response. So because browser can read only the HTTP response only. So means it's a HTML, CSS, JavaScript files. It can load and it can show the output. So now if we see this request object, so there is a request object when the test method has been called. So there is a request object. So in this request object, so we can able to see all the parameters. So if there is any post data also, we can able to see it in the query dictionary. So post data means, for example, if you are passing any username and password in the form, so username and password will come in the post data. So in previous, if you done any web application, so there also we were used to get the data from the request, whether it's from a get request or post request. So also we can get the type of the request, whether it is a get request or post request. So in the browser, if you load it, so it is obviously it's always a get request. So when you are posting it, so it should be in the browser, it should be in the form. Otherwise, we can call it from the any API tools, like example Postman or something. So from that we can call that URL with the post method type as a post. So now it is returning the just my name. So this is the complete request object. So just I wanted to show what and all it will be having. So if you are passing any session and if you are session will be managed uh, by this Django only. So if we maintain the user login, so we can able to see the session. We can validate that whether the user is logged in and all. Also, we can validate whether this user is should be able to process this code or not. Now, it means that we call it as a authorization. Authorization means, for example, I am just a user. So there is a admin also will be there. So admin is also one type of user. Normal customer is also one type of user. For example, if customer is going to book some items in the online website. So in the online website, Customer is also one user, admin is also one user, but admin can load the products, he can update, change the price name and everything, he will be having the control. But customer will not have any permissions for those kind of things. So such kind of permissions means it is a authorization. We can authorize the user to which one he has to use. So depend upon the level of the users. So that and all we'll see later. So just for idea, I am just saying that. And also if you are uploading any files also, we can get the file by using the forms. This is user object. By default it comes. So anonymous user means, so there is no any user session, there is no any user login, so that's why user will show it as a anonymous user. If any user is logged in, so then it will show the user ID and username, user details. So like this, complete request object, it will be contained. So and also in the request object, so in the Django, it maintains the CSRF token. Okay, so if there is any hacking from any, if somebody want to hack our browser, and if they want to take your password or something, if they want to repost the data to the server, so those kind of things we can't do it, because the CSRF token will change every time when the request will comes. So when we do the request in the browser, so in each request, so the CSRF token will be refreshed every time. So if it same token comes, so the Django will give the error. It will not allow to repost it. So then it should be post it only from the application. So only that particular user who is logged in, so only that user can able to request the browser. So now we can able to see this Harsha string is returning to browser. So this is the first view method we have created. We have just created the URL and we are just returning the string value to the browser. So I am returning that string as a HTTP response. Okay, so here we have completed the model, and then this is the view. Okay, so model we have created. I think there is some data also. I will just show the table in this. Okay, because that is a different application. So we'll try to load the data to this view. Okay. Okay, that super user is not there here to see the data. Okay, what I will do. So already, so tomorrow I will make it that which we are running the application, learn Python application. So that application will open it. So because there we already created the model. So that same model we can fetch it and we can show it in the front end. So that task I am just trying to do this. So here we can get that object. So how to get the rows of that object and how can we return to the front end. So that's why I'm trying to see that. So we'll see this user model. Okay. So in the user registration model, so there is a list of users we are storing. Okay. So I am just to give an example. I am going to get all the objects from this table, user registration model. User registration model is the one of the table. So which we already completed how to create the model. So on the columns under. So this is the one column, but this is the one-to-one field. So later I will explain completely one-to-one field, foreign key, and one-to-many, how it works. So it is just as if you are aware of the MySQL, so scripting. So you will be know that. So there is a relationship between the database table. So that relationship we have to mention like this to set the foreign key and one to one and one to many. So these are all the keywords in the Python. So to make that column as a one to one field. So once I make this one to one field, so this user will be user he can't able to repeat the values. For example, Harsha is one user. So one user is already inserted, Harsha. So the same user we can't insert more. So it will be having only one row. Only one row of data will be available in this table. So just we'll go in deeply completely about the models and how many types of columns we can create, how many types of means what are the data types we can create, and how to fetch the objects, how to filter the object, how to sort the object, everything we'll see later in the models section. So now we are just seeing the how the views will be created, and in the views we are going to just fetch the data from the table and we are going to populate it. So I just take one variable name as an object obj. So user registration model is the one table dot object objects dot all. So this is the method. So which will fetch all the rows from the table. For example, if it is a user table, if you are fetching all the objects, it means that we get all the users. So I will just debug and I will see. So in the object, what it will come. So then we can pass it in this view method. So the request came. So it is showing that this is a get method. So when I go to the next step, so there is an object. So this is the query set. So this is having the two values. So one is the user registration model object 1 and user registration model object 2. Okay, so it means that so there is a two objects are there. Okay, so the two objects, it contains the ID and user ID. Okay, it is selecting only the ID. So to fetch, because it is here, we can able to see the primary key of that user object. Okay, so whatever the rows it comes from the table, so it will be in the object based. So we need to parse the object. We need to populate the data. So let's try to append the object. Obj dot. So as it's a dictionary, so we need to get one by one. So I'll just have first object dot username. Username is a one of the column in the user object. So that's why I'm taking as a username. So object came. So in the object, let's see the value. Okay, we'll just try to print it. We'll see what. So user registration model object has no attribute username. There may be a column mistake. Okay, first I will print only the ID. Integer to string it is means it is showing ID is the integer. So that's why it is not able to print. So for that, what we will do? Anybody remember? So if there is an integer, if you want to convert to string, so what we have to do? So we have
How
to,
to convert?
Type of function.
yeah, string function we have to use str of that integer value. So then it will convert to string. So user data, it is a one. So one is the primary ID. So we'll see other column names also in the models. So this is the table. So, but this is the in the auth user table. So we will be having the list of columns, right? So in that columns we need to take. So I will be first name. Maybe there is a spelling mistake. We need to check exactly in the table. It is referring to user registration model. KOBJ. Okay, so we are doing wrong to access the query set. Okay, we need to add the dot values also. So before that, first obj1 equals to. So as this is a query set, it will be having the list of objects. So in this, I am just taking the first object and I am storing this obj1. So after that, I am going to access this user. First, we'll see by using the debugging. So this is the obj1 is the first object. So here we can able to see ID and user ID, and this is the PK is the primary key value. So now I can print the user. So user is actually this user registration model column name user. After that, there is a username. So username is this mobile number. So we'll just check it. Okay. So the username it is printing whatever it is there. So if I want to take a second object, so in the second object, the value is a Harsha. So we can debug and we'll see once again. So this is the second object I am fetching. Okay. So if you see this object, so there is a user as a Harsha. It means that username. So user is another subtable. It is the auth user table. So in this we are having the uh, first name, last name, email ID, username, everything we will be having. So it is given by the Django table itself. So from that we are fetching. So like this, we fetch the data from the model and we populate it. Okay, so for this, actually we need to iterate the object because it is having the list. So when we are returning some value or when we are returning the object, we should iterate and we should print it. We should store in some object and we can print all the objects. So as we are just to test it, so I am just fetching the one object. I am just returning some values. So like this. So from that, we don't write any select queries and all to fetch the data and to send it to the front end in the view method, in the view, HTML view. So we just fetch the data from the object model and we return to the view. Any doubts in this?
No, Harsha, I'm clear.
Okay. I have one more call now. Okay. So this
Okay.
view method, you just practice it. So from next class, I will complete that template. So now we completed the concept like a model and view. So now I need to complete the concept template. It is a MVT architecture, right? Model view or template architecture. So I have
Yes,
shown
yes.
model part and now I have shown the just a simple view part. After that, I will show the template part also. So after that later, I will in detail, I will go for the model. So in the model, how we can able to create the tables, means different kinds of columns and relationship for the tables. Everything we'll see later. Also in the views, so we can create a class-based views. In the class-based views, to fetch the get method, post method, update method, delete method. So how can we handle the type of request? How can we populate and how can we put the business logic for our database thing also. After that, we can see template designs also. So now you just practice this view method. Okay, then we'll continue tomorrow for the template one. Is it fine?